Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiance latest news. Julia Trubkina and Brandon's relationship has always been one of the most talked about on 90 Day Fiance. Fans have watched their ups and downs unfold on television, but recent developments have pushed their story into completely uncharted territory. Julia, who has often been at the center of controversy, now finds herself at the heart of a shocking scandal that could change the course of her relationship with Brandon forever. Rumors are swirling that Julia may be pregnant, and not with Brandon's child. The news has left fans stunned, and the tension between the couple is reaching a breaking point. Reports suggest that Julia has been involved with another man, raising questions about the paternity of her pregnancy. Social media is ablaze with speculation, as fans and critics alike debate whether Brandon has been betrayed. The alleged betrayal has sparked outrage among the 90 Day Fiancé community, with many expressing shock that this could happen in a relationship that has been documented so publicly. Comments have poured in across platforms, with viewers demanding answers and calling for transparency from both Julia and Brandon. The potential pregnancy itself is already a highly sensitive topic. Pregnancy brings with it emotional and physical changes, and when combined with the question of fidelity, the situation becomes exponentially more complicated. Julia's pregnancy, if confirmed, could have far-reaching consequences for Brandon, both emotionally and legally. Divorce rumors have intensified in recent days, as insiders suggest that Brandon is struggling to process the news and consider his next steps. Friends close to the couple reportedly say that Brandon is devastated and feels a profound sense of betrayal. The timeline of events is particularly important in understanding this scandal. Julia and Brandon's relationship, though tumultuous at times, has always been in the public eye, thanks to 90 Day Fiancé. Viewers have watched them navigate cultural differences, long-distance challenges, and the pressures of building a life together. However, the alleged pregnancy with another man's DNA introduces a complication that could potentially overshadow all previous drama. Fans are now questioning whether the relationship can survive such a revelation, or if divorce is inevitable. Social media platforms have become the epicenter for speculation. TikTok videos, Instagram posts, and Twitter threads are flooded with theories about the identity of Julia's alleged boyfriend. Some fans claim to have insider information, while others analyze Julia's recent behavior for clues. Viral clips of past episodes are being revisited with a new lens, with viewers attempting to find hints of infidelity or secrecy. The discussion has even spread beyond the 90 Day Fiancé fanbase, drawing attention from mainstream entertainment news outlets. Brandon, for his part, has maintained a relatively low profile amid the growing storm. Sources close to him suggest that he is taking time to reflect on his options before making any public statements. Legal experts note that questions about paternity and potential divorce proceedings could complicate matters significantly. If the pregnancy is confirmed to involve another man, Brandon may have grounds to pursue legal action, particularly concerning property division, custody arrangements, and financial responsibilities. The unfolding situation could become a highly publicized legal battle if both parties choose to go down that route. Meanwhile, Julia's side of the story remains mostly unverified. She has not yet publicly addressed the allegations, leaving room for speculation and rumors to flourish. Fans have expressed concern for her as well, noting that pregnancy can be an emotionally vulnerable time. Some supporters urge the public to withhold judgment until verified information emerges, while others insist that the allegations must be addressed immediately for the sake of transparency and accountability. The fallout from this news has also affected the 90 Day Fiancé community at large. The show thrives on drama, but this real-life scandal adds a level of intensity that even longtime fans find shocking. Social media polls show that a majority of viewers are divided in their opinions. Some sympathize with Brandon, while others argue that Julia deserves privacy during this complicated period. Memes, reaction videos, and heated comment threads have all amplified the intensity of the conversation, making it one of the most talked-about topics in recent 90 Day Fiancé history. Industry insiders suggest that the show's producers are closely monitoring the situation. The potential for ratings is significant, as viewers are drawn to real-life drama that surpasses scripted storylines. Should the allegations be confirmed, future episodes may address the scandal directly, potentially featuring confrontations, emotional interviews, and detailed discussions of paternity and trust. This could mark a turning point for both Julia and Brandon on the show, as well as for their personal lives outside of the cameras. Beyond the immediate drama, this situation also raises larger questions about relationships under public scrutiny. 90 Day Fiancé has long showcased couples navigating extreme circumstances, cultural differences, long-distance challenges, and intense media attention. However, when personal betrayals intersect with public exposure, the stakes become incredibly high. Brandon and Julia's story now serves as a cautionary tale about trust, honesty, and the pressures of maintaining a relationship under constant observation. Fans continue to dissect every detail, from Julia's recent social media posts to Brandon's public statements, in an effort to piece together a timeline and understand the truth. The speculation about the boyfriend's identity, the pregnancy timeline, and potential divorce proceedings has sparked heated debates, creating a social media storm that shows no signs of slowing down. Experts in relationships and entertainment commentary have also weighed in, emphasizing that trust and communication are central to resolving such a crisis, but acknowledging the added difficulty of dealing with the public eye. For Brandon, the personal and emotional toll cannot be understated. Reports suggest that he is struggling to process the potential betrayal, questioning past events and interactions with Julia. Friends describe him as conflicted and heartbroken, grappling with the possibility that the woman he trusted may not be fully honest with him. Should divorce proceedings move forward, he will face not only emotional challenges, but also the practical and legal complexities that come with ending a marriage, especially one that is highly publicized. For Julia, the stakes are equally high. Pregnancy brings significant physical and emotional changes, and the added layer of public scrutiny creates intense pressure. Her choices in the coming weeks could determine both her personal future and her role on 90 Day Fiancé. How she addresses the allegations, confirms or denies the pregnancy, and communicates with Brandon will be critical in shaping public perception. Fans will be watching closely, and every action is likely to be analyzed, dissected, and debated across social media platforms. The road ahead for both Julia and Brandon remains uncertain. With rumors of pregnancy, betrayal, and divorce, their story is far from over. The 90 Day Fiancé community continues to speculate, analyze, and debate, creating a climate of suspense and anticipation. Whether this scandal leads to reconciliation, confrontation, or permanent separation, one thing is clear: this chapter of their lives will be remembered as one of the most dramatic in reality TV history. In conclusion, Julia Trubkina's alleged pregnancy with another man's DNA, combined with the looming threat of Brandon's divorce, has created a firestorm in the 90 Day Fiancé universe. Fans are divided, emotions are high, and the future of their relationship hangs in the balance. This scandal underscores the challenges of love, trust, and commitment under the microscope of reality television, reminding viewers that behind the cameras, real lives and real heartbreaks unfold. As more details emerge, the world will be watching closely, waiting to see how Julia and Brandon navigate this dramatic chapter in their lives. Julia Trubkina's long-awaited family visit turned into a 90 Day Fiancé nightmare when Brandon Gibbs walked out with his parents, sparking one of the most explosive fights of happily ever after. After 5 years together, Julia and Brandon, who met on 90 Day, The Last Resort, have faced ongoing challenges. Brandon wants children. Julia wants boundaries with her in-laws, and they are hoping to bring her family to America. By the tell-all, they were the only couple still together, but happily ever after has tested their relationship. Julia's parents' visit was meant to celebrate their life as a couple, but the first night erupted into a massive fight, ending with Brandon storming out with his parents. What does this mean for this couple on the show? Brandon's parents, Betty and Ron Gibbs, have always struggled with boundaries, and this season is no different. Julia is excited to bring her parents abroad and show them their lifestyle as a couple. She even warns her in-laws beforehand that there won't be much space once her parents arrive. Yet, after spending hours driving back and forth to the airport and hours on the plane in the case of Julia's parents, they are greeted by Brandon's eager parents. Everyone is exhausted from their trips, and Julia lost her voice playing translator. Julia is clearly unhappy, and while she tries to explain why she was upset, It is clear her emotions are getting the best of her. While she might not have had the best attitude, Brandon's parents were offended by her actions and stormed out. Brandon, equally upset with his wife, because he didn't like how Julia treated his parents, stormed out behind them. Although Julia clearly communicated before and during the events, it seems that the Gibbs had ganged up on the Russian native. Now it seems like the 90-day fiancé couple has reached an all-time low, especially with Julia threatening to change the locks. In the past, the 90-day fiancé star's parents were labeled as franchise master manipulators. Julia and Brandon's parents struggled to get along from the very moment she learned she would live and work on their farm, as well as abide by their strict rules. However, Betty and Ron refused to respect the couple's privacy and independence as a new couple. In fact, Betty even went so far as to humiliate her son for having a hickey, despite them being engaged and well into their 20s. Living together was causing too much turmoil, so Brandon and Julia finally signed a lease. But that only set Betty off. She wasn't ready to lose her son and, in a fit of tears, she cried that Julia was the one manipulating Brandon. Ron was equally irate, screaming at the young couple for having the audacity to move out. Fans saw past the tears and yells quickly. It seemed they cared more about free farm work. Unfortunately, moving out hasn't seemed to change things for the young couple. Betty and Ron still don't respect boundaries and instead flip the situation onto Julia and her reactions. However, Brandon walking out was an all-time low. Overall, Julia's emotions and thought process are totally understandable. Tons of 90-day fiancé stars have complained about the plane and travel time. It was insensitive for Brandon's family to show up, and it was equally appalling to watch him walk out on his wife. The first night his in-laws were there no less. He and his family certainly didn't make the best impression on viewers, and there's no telling how his in-laws feel. Now Julia seems ready to end their relationship, and this might be the final straw. Brandon Gibbs and Julia Trubkina are one of the franchise couples to join 90 Day, the last resort, but I'm starting to notice a big issue between the couple. Brandon and Julia first appeared in 90 Day Fiancé Season 8. Since then, they've appeared in several 90 Day Fiancé franchise series, but more recently joined the more low-key spin-offs like 90 Day Diaries. Their time together was certainly filled with hurdles they needed to overcome. Julia was homesick and hated living with Brandon's parents. She also hated farm life and didn't want to spend her days doing grueling work with the farm animals. While they were able to overcome some issues, such as moving out, it seems that the couple has a new set of issues. Their intimacy is lacking. Brandon wants kids and Julia wants her family in the US. They can't form an agreement or compromise, hence why they joined the newest spin-off. However, I think Brandon might be forcing the issues and making Julia change into someone she's not without considering her wants and needs. Although I understand relationships are about compromise and growing together, Brandon needs to take a step back and reevaluate how he's approaching the situation. A major issue for Brandon right now is the lack of intimacy between the two. Julia doesn't want to have sex, especially because she knows Brandon's hoping for children. However, Brandon became offended by Julia's sexy attire and promiscuous behavior at the club. To him, it didn't make sense that Julia would act sexy for the public, but not for him. While I understand his thought process and would likely feel similarly if I was in the same position, I think Brandon's focusing too much on himself. Julia's actions reflect more on herself and her own desires. She even tried to explain to Brandon that she wanted to let loose and have more fun. Truthfully, I think Julia wants to find herself again. After being in America away from her family and in a relationship for XX years, she probably feels like she's lost parts of herself. Keep in mind, people are still recovering from the COVID-19 lockdown and reintegrating their lives with society. Plus, if Julia's ready to consider children, then she might want to have a few last hurrahs before integrating into motherhood. While I agree her actions don't portray her in the best light, Julia is still being honest and upfront with Brandon instead of hiding it. I think she might benefit a lot more from letting loose in a safe place with her husband around than her trying to ignore the parts that want to be released. I think Brandon's also upset by Julia's behavior because dancing on bars and dressing proactively is not how he'd handle a situation. However, Brandon needs to remember that they are two different people with vastly distinct personalities. Brandon's always been more quiet and reserved. Meanwhile, Julia is more bubbly and quick-witted. They think differently. They act differently, and most of all, they process differently. Forcing Julia to act more like Brandon or act in a way he deems more acceptable is only going to drive a bigger wedge between the two. If Brandon practiced more acceptance, even though he disagreed, Julia would feel more support, which would benefit him a lot more. If Brandon could show Julia that even in tough times he can be supportive, she might be more willing to have children and grow a family. Brandon would show her that he could be the husband she needed. As the old saying goes, opposites attract, but this can also lead to the far too common problem seen with Brandon and Julia. When the relationship is good, they seem to mesh perfectly well, but when things are bad, they can't seem to find a healthy middle ground. Overall, I think this couple needs to work on communication and be more supportive. No couple will agree on everything, but how they handle their disagreements is crucial, and Brandon can certainly repair their marriage a lot more by being supportive, even if he doesn't understand. 90 days. The Last Resort star Julia Trubkina is not feeling the holiday spirit thanks to her worsening relationship troubles with Brandon Gibbs. The two tied the knot in April 2020, and since then, they have faced many ups and downs in their marriage. During 90 days, The Last Resort Season 2, Trubkina and Gibbs were one of the couples who embarked on an intensive retreat in an attempt to salvage their relationships. But it looks like their issues are far too serious to be resolved. Trubkina recently took to her Instagram stories to confirm that she had no plans of celebrating Christmas in 2023 because she wasn't in the mood. The reality star revealed that she hadn't bought any presents and was going to spend the holiday season with her dogs. In another story, she posted a video of her curled up in bed with one of her furry friends. In the caption, Trubkina revealed that she stayed home on Christmas Eve and asked fans what their plans were for the night. Fans were quick to notice that Gibbs was nowhere to be seen in Trubkina's posts, which implies that the two of them aren't spending the holidays together. While the couple put an end to divorce rumors by traveling to Europe together in September 2024, that soon took a turn for the worse. A month into their tour, Gibbs posted a cryptic Instagram story and claimed that they had to postpone traveling because they had to take care of things at home. The couple appeared to be pretty upset in the picture, and Trubkina looked like she had been crying. While the actual status of Trubkina and Gibbs's relationship is not confirmed yet, their stint on 90 Days, The Last Resort has revealed a lot of cracks in their relationship. 90 Days, The Last Resort Season 2 premiered on December 2, 2024. Ahead of the premiere, Trubkina spoke with US Weekly and admitted that she and Gibbs have a lot of issues to work through. The reality TV star confessed that she thought their only major problem was their differing opinion on having children. However, during the show's therapy segment, she and Gibbs learned that the problems in their relationship run far deeper than they could have imagined. She admitted that on the show, the couple uncovered unresolved issues they had been avoiding for years. Trubkina also shared that the therapy sessions made them confront topics like her family's influence on their marriage. According to the reality star, while the process has been eye-opening for both of them, their problems cannot be fixed overnight. However, Trubkina expressed her willingness to commit to the process to mend her relationship with Gibbs. But it seems like that never really happened. We're wrapping up here for today, but the excitement of trending gossip doesn't stop here. We'll be back with new surprises very soon. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.